Yeah, baby. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Jonikala, and today we're checking out Emotive Woodwind Soloists by Fracture Sounds. What is this thing? Let's go to the website to learn a bit more. So, this is subtitled Orchestral Virtuosos. I wonder why only the woodwinds got that title, but you know. Also, I must kind of preface or lay the foundation for this that I'm very excited for this because I do have woodwinds. I do have good woodwinds, but somehow I just feel like you can't really have too many of them. There are certain frontiers that you kind of want to look into and want to have. So that's definitely exciting. Also nice to have soloists. I think they work really, really well, especially for woodwinds. And also I must say that in my experience as a user, again, I'm not a sample library developer, at least not as of yet, but it seems like woodwinds seem to be easier to do than strings and brass. And I simply based on the fact that I've seen more good good sounding woodwind libraries than I have strings or brass. There's something about the quality of the woodwinds, the airiness, just the nature that they seem to lend themselves better and easier to that process. Now, again, if there's a actual developer out there, let me know your thoughts. But simply as a user, I've seen more good woodwind libraries than strings and brass coming out of companies. So that being said, the bar is obviously higher because there have been more good ones, at least in my radar. So we'll see how this goes. Obviously, Fracture Sounds is one of my favorite orchestral library developers, certainly in the department of authentic, realistic, naturally, beautifully breathing, open-sounding libraries. So also because of that, the standards are a bit high. So this is a continuation of the Legato Soloist library. So they are continuing the Legato thingamajiggy. Huge fan of that because it does work really, really well and is great sounding. I think they are actually fixing an issue that we have as composers because I want to do as little programming as physically possible. I want to just play and have the take and take my hands off and get the fuck out of here. So this new legato system reads the speed at which you play, and then it changes the legato speed, the sample of the speed. The actual sampling, when you're sampling an instrument, they can do a legato fast or they can do slow. And this one puts the right sample in there based on your playing. Due to that, there's a bit of lag, a bit of delay there in the playing. But personally, I'm very much willing to take that because, first of all, the delay hasn't been, at least so far in these libraries, hasn't been very big. And it just makes my life easier, and that's what I like. Captures the core woodwind instruments with exceptional depth, nuance, and realism. Cool. Excited to see what the core ones are. But yeah, this is intro sale going on. March 25th is when this is going to end. It is currently the 5th of March for me. And again, apologies, I'm a bit late with this video because I'm just swamped with 2 jobs and 2 kids trying to keep this shit together, which is easier said than done. A bit late with this. No great for the YouTube views. You get so many more views when you get that video out fast, but hopefully better late than never, and hopefully this is still useful to somebody. But yeah, 25th, gotta get that intro sale if you want. Full price, including VAT, is 199 euros. So this is no kind of featherweight in terms of price, not ball breaking, I would say, but not tiny either. Intro price, you get $50 off that. Yeah, I can calculate. 50 euros I'm looking at here. You're probably going to see a different price depending on where you are. It seems like it's going to detect your zone. I see euros because I'm in the land of the Finn. So that's what's up. Runs in the free contact player. Good. So you don't need the full version. NKS compatibility. Check. 32 gigs. Download size. So again, pretty impressive size for a few solo instruments. So yeah, seems pretty promising. Then we have a trailer here, which we're not going to watch. You can go watch that by yourself. You should, by the way, watch all the Fracture Sounds videos, the tutorials, all that stuff, because it's good stuff. And stuff, importantly, that I do not cover. From Tchaikovsky and Stravinsky to John Williams, the woodwind section has long been a cornerstone of musical storytelling. With emotive woodwind soloists, this organic expressiveness has been distilled into a focused library capturing the subtle nuance and intimacy, of these instruments. With a contemporary tone, perfect for dramatic scoring. Nice. Again, recorded at the Nave Studios. I know it's probably Nave, but I just like to say Nave for no apparent reason. So yeah, same space as a lot of the other stuff, probably most of the stuff. Don't quote me on that, but England's finest musicians blend seamlessly with other instruments in the Fracture Sounds soloist range. Good. Production ready microphone mixes. Yeah, okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, smart legato. We kind of touched on that already. Flute, oboe, clarinet, Cor Anglais, and bassoon. All right. A bonus Piccolo. Oh, poor Piccolo. Just gets a bonus. In total features 80 articulations. God damn. Cool. Legato, sustain, shorts, and trills. Nice. Then we got the musicians here. Robert Lumen. Nice. Matt Jones, Sarah Nixon, Sergio Castello Lopez. That's my best attempt. Sorry. Sorry for that attempt, not the best. So yeah, articulations, legato, sustain, staccato, tenuto short, tenuto long, performance, shorts. Those are the ones you put on when you go to the gym. Sustain, slow, and trills. Okay, cool. Yeah, this slow sustain seemed to be like something that I enjoyed in, I don't remember which library it was, but it was one of them for sure. Much preferred to kind of typical sustains, which I just almost never use, depending on what it is, but yeah. Then you have additional articulations, short trills, performance, short sustain, swells, individual trills, and then you get the Piccolo bonus. Cool. There's a walkthrough. Nice. Anything else we want to really touch on here? Pretty basic stuff. They keep this very, very kind of basic and light, which is good. Makes the buying process a lot easier, less overwhelming. Cool. I think that's that. So let's go back over here. Let me go close to Chrome. And let's take ourselves to the DAW. So, some of the basics. In terms of transparency, Fracture Sounds did send me this library to check out, so thank you to them for doing so. That being said, as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I hadn't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only Emotive Woodwind Soloists in action. I don't add any effects, no EQ, reverb, nothing. I only have a limiter on my master bus to make the level for this video more consistent. But it's set to be as transparent as possible. And in case there's any clipping, it's probably the limiter, and I'll let you know either way if it's not. But yeah. In terms of the agenda for this video, I'm just going to try and play as much of this as I possibly can to show you what it sounds like right out of the box. This is not going to be like a super deep technical deep dive. It's just to give you an idea of what this sounds like and whether it's going to be a good addition to your toolkit. And probably can't jump, well, we're certainly not going to be able to jump into absolutely everything, but I'll try and focus on the things that certainly are most essential to me and kind of curiosity inducing to me, I guess. And that's really the plan for today. When you open this side panel here, you indeed see NKIs for flute, oboe, Cor Anglais. I don't know why I say it like that. Clarinet, bassoon. Then you got additional flute, articulation, oboe, additional articulation. Those ones for, all of the ones we touched on, and then the bonus piccolo. So very simple layout. I do enjoy that. And looking at this interface, looks super, super clean, nice, very, very pleasant to look at here. I do like this new layout a lot. So it's big, clear, clean, concise. Up on the top, you got dynamics, which map here to your mod wheel. You got color, which it says cuts or boosts the presence of the instrument. So this is this has not been like a simple kind of tilt EQ or shelf EQ even. It has been a big control when it comes to changing the sound of your instrument. So this alone has been like a multiplier for a lot of the instruments that we touched on previously. Not all of them. I think some of the older libraries do sound more like a simpler EQ approach, but this just changes the nature of the instrument entirely. So you can get many different tones out of the library. I don't know about this yet. It's probably going to be the same, but that has been the case before. Stereo width, reverb control. Then you got these boxes in the middle, which allow you to choose the articulation. I won't repeat those since we went through them already, but this is where you click them on or off. And you can also key switch through them like this if you wish, which is nice and convenient. Mic positions on the right, close, mid, far. Again, the perspective slider, of which I'm a huge fan of, because it adjusts the relative ratios between them wonderfully. I much prefer this instead of individually adjusting the mic positions, because it gives you a more cohesive and contextual idea of or contextual balance of your microphone positions. So big fan of this. Again, will affect the sound a lot. Then we got the instrument placement box, which is kind of a new-ish thing in situ, which is where the instrument would be positioned, as they say, exactly as it was during the original recording. Then you can customize it and do a stereo, center stereo as well. This has been, again, another, like, I think it was with the brass, the soloist brass, I think, not sure, but it was a big, also textural change. Not like, yes, obviously it changes where the instrument is in the stereo field, but it also changes the tone of it a lot, or it did. So interested to seeing if that's the case here. Legato settings, we're going to go with smart here because I just like the way it sounds. Classic is a more simplified legato engine, which adjusts the legato speed with variable latency times. Smart one analyzes incoming MIDI to 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 determine the optimal timings for each sample. Then you can adjust the latency here as well. And that's about it. But let's go into the flute and let's start playing the legato here. So straight away, I mean, beautiful, beautiful, expressive, soulful sound. Again, typically in a fracture sounds way very open, natural, but it sings beautiful. It's so clean and pure sounding. Absolutely stunning top end. One of the things that I'm hearing here, when I'm listening to the dynamics go to the lesser end, I'm hearing more of a change in volume rather than texture. There's not like, I don't feel a ton like the player is changing the texture as they're pulling back the dynamic. It kind of sounds like it stays similar, but the level goes down. And even here in the low end, it sounds like we're still at kind of like a similar intensity even, but it's sort of more like, yeah, there's the textural change is not what I would really hope for. See there, it sounds more like it's a level change instead of maybe lessening that vibrato, going from that sort of, it's not like a gritty sound, but when you play louder with a woodwind, there is more of that kind of natural airflow distortion, if you will. I don't know if that's going to make sense to anybody, but I would expect it to go to purer tone and then kind of pull back into a sort of a gentler hold. And especially when this is called emotive woodwinds, I would want more emotive expression from the dynamics. That being said, it's so wonderful sounding. I could set this for the most part at a full dynamic with a bit of pulling back when you don't want your longer notes to be completely static. But it is super expressive here. I just wish the dynamics would also map to that. The playing here is absolutely fantastic. I can go slow if I want to go slow. I can go fast if I want to go fast. It doesn't care. It does it perfectly. Yeah, even these super fast things sound really, really nice to me. And even the slight jinx in there, that was me not playing it well. It's not the library. absolutely wonderful. Like, this plays perfectly as you would want and expect. Yeah, as far as I can tell, there's only one thing that I'm not exactly happy with, which is the dynamics texture not really changing here. I feel like the volume differences here are just mapped really, really well, but I would expect a kind of a tone texture difference here as well. So let's do this with the flute. I'm probably not on the other instruments gonna dive too deeply in the color and the instrument placement thing, because we just don't have time for that. We might if I'm super curious about it, but let's see how this works. So I'm gonna max out the color here. Let us pull back the level a bit, because the color increasing does increase level. I actually remember that being the case with a previous library. Maybe this was the string soloists, perhaps. Which, if I remember correctly, was a criticism of mine, because it does make working with the library from a gain staging standpoint quite challenging. So I wish that was compensated. Seems like it hasn't been done for this, but let's play a bit more. Beautiful sound. Again, here it's important that we get a tonal textural change, but it doesn't sound like we've just boosted the shit out of an EQ. Again, this is the normal color. So again, what they say about this boosts the presence of the instrument. So I do agree with that. That's a good description. But it's maybe even more like, I want to say aggressiveness in a sense, but maybe I'll come up with a more descriptive word. That top end is so beautiful. Kind of reminds me of some of the stuff from Jeremy Soul's Oblivion soundtrack. That has like beautiful woodwinds there, and this is like brings some of that vibe to me, which is a big praise, a big plus in my book. Yeah, beautiful. But again, this color thing is so important, because it gives a single library, a single instrument, so much more flexibility. Because oftentimes, well, back in the day, if you wanted like a darker tone or a brighter tone, you would have to buy a different library. But this gives you a lot of scope to work with. You can just get one library instead of three to get different sort of tones. And again, I should emphasize how important it is that this doesn't just feel like an EQ change. I mean, it could be a very sophisticated, good EQer behind it, but it doesn't feel like that. This doesn't just feel like, yeah, I mean, it gets definitely brighter and sort of pushier and more aggressive. And as they say, what's the word? Present. But it's not excessive. So this would be the darkest version of the color. Again, we're looking at a volume difference here. So I'm going to boost this a bit. Again, I wish they did address this. I know from a technical standpoint, from what I know about this, it can be a bit tricky to do. but automatic gain compensation here would be fantastic, because now I need to change levels quite a bit. I would need to pull back for the brightest version of this. Need to pull back 3 dB or 3.5 even, and with the color all the way down, well, we'll have to see, but probably the same amount we'd need to boost to get to the level of the volume of the normal color. Yeah, still sounds more like the dynamics are involved on the volume front instead of giving like a textural change there. Again, that's super quiet, so let's keep boosting the gain, I guess. Such a beautiful sound. Very, very, very beautiful. I want to compare this to the normal color here. I mean, this felt like super soft when we started, but now the darkest version. Yeah, really, really good. So hopefully you see what I mean by this. This gives you so much to work with. It changes the tone, the color of the instrument quite radically. You can go from that to this. Yep. So loving that control, still working really, really nicely there. Let's look at the mics here again. Let's go fully close. So again, this is the full close mic. We'll keep the color in the neutral zone here, but you can begin to see how much these controls can be manipulated to get like a extremely wide spectrum of different sort of tones and textures and sounds out of a single library. So close mic. It's pretty okay. So obviously it goes mono because that's a close mic, so it's gonna be mono. Going to this full mid setting here. So mid, full, close and far, about halfway. Cool, and then go fully far mic. What I love about this is that they all, like, you could take only this far mic and use this for a sort of a more airy, bigger, more, reverberant, but kind of spacious sound. This could go all by itself. Oftentimes, far mics can just be like super ambient, basically like a reverb, and that's not really what I'm looking for. And what I've really loved about Fracture Sound's releases for quite a long time now is that the mic positionings are actually meaningful, and they give you on their own, one mic gives you a complete self-sustained sound, and it's still super usable. Again, this plays into texture, into tone, into color, but it doesn't sound just like an afterthought, like they threw some stuff there in the back and then it's too reverberant and kind of mushy and you can't use it. This sounds super focused. Yes, it has a lot of space and air, but there's also a lot of presence. It's super clear, just a more spacious sound. Very nice. So if you wanted to go for a more like a classical sound, you could take just that far mic and use it and go with that. Just because we didn't quite demonstrate this, we're going to solo the mid mic, and this is what it sounds like. Yeah, really, really nice. Beautiful. Cool. Let's try this custom position here. It was kind of interesting because when we tested the close mic, to me it sounded more like it was there, but this one tells me it's there. So that was kind of weird. Let's redo that. So let's try. So this is in situ, and this is the close mic only. Yeah, I mean, it's there. Like I can hear it very clearly. So it kind of sounds like a reversing of the stereo field, because that's just about where that would be if it was mirrored. So do I have my cabling correctly? It genuinely could be that I don't, because I had to rewire some stuff and clean up some stuff here. That's actually pretty funny. Good way to find out. Gonna have to have a look at that. That has to be the explanation here, because I got point source monitoring here, and that would be really funny. Yeah, they're probably the other way around, because yeah, I had to redo everything because I had to change some cabling underneath, and then I cleaned up everything and probably didn't check that. So there you go. Custom positioning. Let's go back to this normal complete balance sound. Let's throw this in the complete opposite end here. Okay, opposite end. So again, to me, I don't know what this is using, but there are, as it's in a different part of the space, it sounds like the reflections are different. So this end to me sounds brighter than this end. Yeah, slightly brighter, and this end sounds a bit darker. So this is what I mean by using this as a textural tool as well. Obviously, it does change the placement as well. There are ways to get around that, obviously, with panning and other stuff. But this is worthwhile exploring. If you're writing a part with this, you don't quite feel like you're getting the right sound. Worthwhile exploring with this positioning if the tone changes into something that has a bit more of a correct sound for you. And this would be center back. Yeah, so just a basic exploration of the idea, but that's what he does. So don't overlook that from that standpoint as well. Let's go into another articulation here. So this would be the sustains. Beautiful starting of that note. I think they did call these the soft sustains, which really liked, I think, in the strings, if I remember correctly, that slight softness. It is like a puffy pillow that you land on. And also the releases are very nice. That's so super important if you're going to make and use sustains. It's really important to get those two right. That saves a lot of trouble and pain. So, again, you might know I'm not a big fan of sustains. But this is the hands down the best way I've seen them be done. Again, I would probably prefer to do all of those melody lines individually with a legato and combine them. But I will say that puffiness, if it does have a unique texture in the start and the release, then, who knows, maybe I'm a convert. Sustain slow. Yeah, this is also fantastic. These are kind of like, you could call them waves. They sort of come in and go. I love this. I would also love to have something that has a, crescendo coming in, but also then fading out. So then you can have waves that move in and out. And I think they did this with the string formations, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm mixing something. But again, great addition. I would love to have the wave option as well, going in and going out, and also with different speeds. I know this is probably a lot to ask, but really liking that. And trills. Am I missing something here? Is it not working? Maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't hear a trill. Sounds like it's just accessing the sustain there. I don't know. Everything else seems to work here. Staccato. So definitely here with the latency, you can, it becomes harder to play the shorts for sure, which is going to be my excuse for my playing. Really loving how the velocity maps here to pressure, so I can really dig into that level and that textural change that I want to have happen. Yeah, very nice. Cat's kind of like a slippy tone to it, which is I really like. Kind of like an oilier thing, but again, you could pull the color back and then it would be something else. So again, this is important to remember about this, because you find a sound and then you think, oh, maybe it's a bit too aggressive, too bright, slicky, oily, like I did here. But there are so many controls that allow you to influence that. Firstly, I'd go to the color, then play with the mics, and then maybe the positioning. But again, really, really cool set of tools. Tenuto. Cool. Tenuto long. And then we have performance shorts, which I'm not going to make another joke about that. I should have read what that means. I don't know if it's like by performance, it means like a diverse set of articulations here. Seems like it. When I play velocity low, it does like a shorter. Yeah, so it seems like it's combining the staccato, tenuto, short and long into one. That's super useful, actually. I'm sure many people are going to enjoy that. Personally, too much demanded from the playing front. And my autism, I like to separate things, do them one by one. Cool. Seems like that's the flute. Let's open up the side pane. So, next up, the Oboe. That's how it's actually pronounced, if you didn't know. Again, going with the legato. All right, this seems quieter coming out of the gate. Let's pull back the level here a bit. It's getting a bit loud. So one thing, again, plays beautifully, beautiful, open, natural sound. What I'm missing the most here, to me, the Oboe is a beautiful, beautiful instrument. especially when it gets to the gentle tones, because it kind of reminds me of like this kind of a weeping duck, you know, some kind of a bird on a beautiful pond or lake somewhere. You're in the UK somewhere. It's very wet and foggy, misty, whatever they use there. And this bird is singing its song and kind of in a weeping way. So here, again, when I'm pulling back the dynamics, I'm expecting to get that kind of pullback, that kind of softness, that kind of vulnerability, that change in the texture, but mainly I'm hearing a volume change here, which kind of makes me yearn for that expressional difference, that textural change, which doesn't quite take place here. Also, once we get to the kind of top half of this, the sound becomes a lot more sort of pushy or a bit piercing. So I would expect to probably pull back the color on this one, but let me play a bit more. It's there where there's a bit more sort of glassiness and a bit more resonance there, which makes it a bit harder for the ear for me when it kind of begins to go into this zone. Also, those transitions can be, I like the realism, I like the way it sounds, but there's a bit of like that glassy, sort of a resonant, pushy edge, which can definitely be something I would probably EQ out. But out of curiosity, let me pull back the color here, actually all the way. And let's try this. Yeah, again, that helps a lot with if you find a zone or something that's not quite what you're after. That color really helps out. I gotta do it. I wouldn't want to push the color higher than the neutral zone, but out of curiosity, I must. Okay, it's nowhere near as aggressive as I expected. Let's bring it back to normal. It actually helps because when I push the color more, it becomes more clearer, sort of brighter. It's no longer as sort of resonantly glissy. Is that even a word? It's a word now. This is too loud. Yeah, again, I wish there was internal gain compensation. Yeah, that actually does help a lot. So I'd probably use these sort of more, not extreme ends necessarily, but something more akin to that. Yeah, this is really kind of like my favorite zone here when we get to the lower half of it. Has that beautiful emotive, like it says on the box, sound to it. I really dig that. Again, the biggest thing here, the playability is absolutely beautiful and stunning. I just wish we actually got more of a textural tonal change here. because now I just get a feeling of volume more than anything else, unfortunately. Sustains. Yeah, it helps so much to get the initial start and also the end samples right. That makes, these are like among the best sustains I've played. Again, not a big sustain user, but you get my point. Yeah, really liking these slow sustains, as they call them. Makes me really want to have also the fade out. That would make this actually really, really incredible. And if I could have at least 2 different speeds of, you know, opening up and slowing down, doing like a faster one and a slower one. I usually use the slower ones or longer openers. But yeah, because that's such a beautiful sound. So I wish there was more of that aspect in this library. Let's see if the trills work here. I don't know what's up here, but I can't get the trills to work. Yeah, they sound exactly like the sustains, so I don't know what's happening there. Again here, playability, I would need to lower the latency here, ideally, to help with playing, because the lag is, with the short notes, bad enough that I really couldn't play really well in real time. So I'd probably play it with something else and then change it, you know, to this library if I wanted this sound, which I probably would. Those sound really, really nice. Again, they map super well to the velocity there, so great job on those. Let us move to Cor Anglais. That is the limitar, since we were working with those really quiet oboe short notes. Can I have a bit more volume here? This sounds really good. Yeah, really nice. Again, playability, absolutely perfect. Out of curiosity, I I do feel like when they say emotive, I would expect this to be sort of a bit sort of softer. Obviously, that's completely subjective, like the connotation that you have. And to be fair, soft solo strings, I think it's called. Let me get my names right. Well, maybe I it's probably soft solo strings, if I remember correctly. That is soft. And again, that I would expect that kind of similar thing here, but obviously they're not going for that. So that doesn't exactly make sense to expect. But trying this, the color turned all the way down. Yeah. Cool. Gives you that flexibility. Do the trills work? No. Interesting. Sustains. Level is too much. Yeah, there's a certain intensity that these tend to want to be at. So you can begin to hear the tone, the sound that they wanted this to have. It's like, yes, emotive, emotional, but it's also sort of like, if you think about the intensity of a sound, like soft or super intense, this is definitely there in the middle, tilting to the soft, but still pretty close to the middle. Like it wants to sing a bit more than I expected. And again, there's no reason why I expected that. That's probably just what I wanted to see more than anything. But yeah, kind of building an idea here of what the sound of this is. Yeah, really, really beautiful. I think this is kind of still a bit of an under-tapped approach to sampling. I love how these kind of contours or waves, they can, if they're really sampled really, really well, you can create incredibly beautiful, emotional, realistic sounding movement with that. And this is so good sounding that I wish there was more of that in here, like more of these waves and these sampled kind of performance-based, swelling in or, coming in and out. So yeah, more of that would be absolutely fantastic. I understand it multiplies the workload a lot, and it fundamentally makes this like, because a lot of libraries can do just that one thing, that they do that one approach of that contour-based approach, and that's the whole library. So asking that to be in here is a bit like, it's a bit much, especially since there's so much in here already. but it would make this like again like a completely next level no-brainer type of a deal, which I think a lot of libraries have been for fracture sounds. Like I feel like String Formations was for me what was like one of those moments like this is really really cool and really comprehensive. So staccato. The lag is so bad here, the latency that maybe I can do that. Yeah, this is great to have this control here as well. It does say legato, but it's not only for the legato; it's for the whole thing. Yeah, even for the faster notes, you would have to get used to that. At least I would to play that well enough. Moving into the clarinet. Ooh, I like this instrument. What I don't like is clipping, so let's pull back the level here. Wow, this is quite different. So this is a bit strikingly different from the energy levels of some of the other instruments. I feel like the flute was kind of the closest to this, but this is by far the softest instrument in here so far. And again, this is not like necessarily a criticism. It depends on your wants and needs and desires, but I personally love this. Really nice, but super airy, super soft, definitely more of like a I guess introvertic tone to it. Yeah, this is beautiful. Again, I just wanted to demonstrate how the legato changes really nicely to your playing. Beautiful tone. This is like very airy, very soft. Again, I would say strikingly different to the approach that maybe the Oboe or the other ones had. But I'm all for it here. Sounds really, really good. Again, here, the dynamics here pair a bit better to the nature of the clarinet. So you get a bit more of a sense of an actual change in the texture and the expression here, but I still feel like it's dominantly volume more than anything else changing here. So let's go to the sustains. Getting a bit too loud. Very nice. I mean, I just love how good those start and end samples are for the sustains. Really good. Yeah, again, here you can hear, hopefully, how wonderful that sampling approach is, because you get that literal performance in there. It sounds so emotive. That is the limiter clipping. Obviously, as we're stacking voices, it gets louder, so. Loving that. And again, this is like creates a specific tone of its own. Like that would be a bit atypical for that instrument, but I love that because it's kind of like a glassy, weird, a bit machine-like, but still organic thing. So that's really, really, really cool. Again, I wish that was expanded. Frankly, I wish there was a library that did only that as well, like these type of things, because they work so well. But there you go. Trills, still can't get them to work. I do apologize if it's me, but as far as I can tell, it's not. So let's do staccato here. And I'm going to lower the latency a bit. Yeah, that top end gets an interesting tone there. Kind of glassy, kind of a bit... When I say synthy, I don't mean that it doesn't sound realistic, but it has a interesting edge. Kind of a glassy, resonant type of thing. I really like that tone, actually. But it does kind of have a bit of how would I say it? Kind of like a Fairlightish edge to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm going to go with. Moving into the bassoon, starting with the legato. Yeah, beautiful, airy, open sound. Interestingly enough, as you go to the low end, they kind of opted for a kind of a thinner sound. So it begins to, this is kind of the fullest that it gets. This level is a bit hot maybe still. And then it kind of tapers off the low end as you go here, which is kind of interesting. I would estimate that that results in better balances in your orchestral balance, because the bassoon can be quite low end consuming, but here it's still like, it sounds like it's low end, but it's not like boastfully big and resonant, because those can cause issues. And frankly, in most cases, you would probably reserve that for another part of the orchestra. But just an interesting observation to me. Yeah, cool. I dig that tone. Sustain. I know this is a bit unorthodox, playing like chords like that, but that's interesting. I mean, I don't just want to use these in the way that what it says on the box, but that's kind of like, I could pass as a pretty good harmonium as well. So clipping due to the limiter. Let me readjust. Beautiful sound. Yeah, really nice. Again, repeating myself, more of these slow sustains, more of these contours, more of these would be really nice. Trills don't work for me for some reason. And again, I do apologize if I missed something here. Please do let me know. Really, really liking that tone. Has a really nice amount of grit and particles. Those textures are absolutely perfect. Beautiful amount of like distortion, rattle there. Super, super nice. Cool. Looking at these, okay, additional articulations. Oh, they have answered my wishes because we have swells in here. So really quickly touching on some of these other ones. So we're not going to spend more time on those, but they sound perfect. They are perfect. So there you go. Now, swells. Clipping the heck out. Beautiful. I wish that there was a slower option. I don't seem to be able to select that. These sound beautiful. I just wish they were slower, or that I had some options here. Also some control over the overlapping. So if you want it to re-trigger or stay the same, that would be very nice as well, so that it can integrate the swell into the next note. So if I was in the middle of a swell and I wanted to change one note, that it could pull from a sample pool that was linked to the original notes that I was playing in terms of like timing sync. So it would continue the same swell even though I'm changing a note. Because now it just plays starting from when I played. So yeah, really nice. Yeah, I wish we had another length option, because I tend to prefer to do kind of slower stuff with that. Again, comes completely down to what kind of music you want to write, but I prefer kind of the slow, wavy stuff and doing things with those. But a very cool addition nonetheless. That clipping was the limiter. Cor Anglais. Very cool. Again, they just sound super great. I wish we had more versatility over the speed. Well, that's gonna get super loud. Ooh, okay, interesting. If I hold the sustain pedal, I can increase the middle bit where it is at the full velocity. So that does make it a lot more versatile. So there I got a bit of a hang. Could be because I don't understand how they overlapped there. Okay, yeah, definitely got a, I think that was hanging in there. Could be due to my treatment. I don't completely understand it, but I don't know if that would be, or that should be possible, but bassoon swells. So while the sustain helps a lot, it's not quite the same. It's tremendous to have it in there because we can get this, again, the sustain bit to expand, but oh, I was muted. So yeah, I mean, that definitely having the sustain control there on the swells is fantastic. Not quite the same as having an actual like performance wave coming in and or contour coming in and back away, but really good inclusion if we don't have that, obviously. Doesn't quite create quite the same texture there, but you know, sustain mono. So we're in the Piccolo, which is a bonus. Okay, this sounds a lot more sort of piercing and aggressive to me. I mean, guys, I know it's a piccolo flute, but still. Okay, so mono sustain poly. All right, staccato. Yeah, so this does get a bit bright and pushy to me, so I would try this with the color all the way down. Yeah, it makes it a lot less edgy. To be honest, I never really understood bonus patches much. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that there's something there because it gives you additional tools that you might not have otherwise. But I guess this is a perspective shift. My neurotic self is just a bit bothered by by this, but again, you know, you appreciate what you have, or you should appreciate, because this does extend the usability quite a bit. I actually think the piccolo flute is quite an important thing to have, because it does give a lot more bite and edge to your woodwind parts. So it would be nice to have this with the same scope. Like, I guess I don't understand why it's a kind of a bonus and not a fully fledged thing. Sometimes maybe during development, you kind of develop it and then you realize it doesn't quite do the same or reach the same heights as the other elements. So then you kind of say, oh, this is not like a proper thing that we want to present, but here's a bunch of bonuses. So maybe it's that. But who knows? An octave legato. Limiter clipping. So these ones usually, to my taste, emphasize the lower octave a bit too much. But again, as a bonus, It's nice to have. You can easily EQ that as well. And then let's do the staccato octave. That's actually really useful. Cool. Okay. I think it has come time. Let's readjust this a bit. Just so I can see, where is it? Center vertical, there we go. Just to summarize this in a way that allows me to see everything that is in the menu over here. Overall, another fantastic installment release by Fracture Sounds. I think this very much does continue on the same, path that they've been on, and this ticks the boxes for like the classic Fracture Sounds sound, which to me is, well, realism, playability, but like a natural, open, clean, beautiful sound. So definitely fits in right into that same category. So this will undoubtedly pair really well with your other Fracture Sounds libraries. And as I've said before, Fracture Sounds libraries are very unique in the sense that they pair really, really well with other libraries as well. Because some libraries can be so specific that they don't really meld all that well with other stuff. But Fracture Sounds is in that sort of a clean, realistic, pure sound category, which from my perspective means that you can pair it really, really well with libraries from other companies as well. Not that you necessarily would want to, but it's very useful and unique in that sense. Again, playability, absolutely fantastic. The smart legato system, I love. There's less stuff that I need to worry, because with a lot of other libraries, legato speed is something you might have to program in manually or adjust the speed per part that you're in, which is way too much work for someone like myself. So very appreciated. Playability is just top notch, as it has been with this company for a long time. So that's great. Again, with the short notes, like the staccatos, they're fantastic. The thing you have to keep in mind is the speed here under the legato settings, which is weird because it's not a legato, but it's kind of talking about the legato engine. So I would need to drop it down at least during playback, or sorry, not playback, but when I'm actually recording or playing, to be able to play that. But maybe you can adjust to that better. But again, great to have it there because it makes it possible. But yeah, they sound fantastic. Overall, between these instruments, like I said earlier, overall, this library is sort of, if we think about the spectrum of tone and texture, going from soft to super like hard and upfront and pushy, this library is definitely closest to the middle, leaning to the softer edge. This varies quite a bit depending on the instruments. For example, the clarinet by far was the softest out of all of these. And then maybe the Cor Anglais, I'm going to keep saying it like that, is sort of the next from that. Or maybe the Bassoon, and then Cor Anglais, and then then probably Flute and Oboe in that order towards the middle. So like Flute, Oboe, Cor Anglais, they sort of they want to sing a bit more rather than being like a softer, sort of emotionally more vulnerable sounding. So that's definitely the general vibe that I got out of this. Like maybe I was thinking this would be more like the soft solo strings, because that's what I probably played from them last time. So this is definitely a bit less soft than that, more towards that kind of, not an aggressive sound, but more sort of expressive and outgoing, should we say. So that's something I definitely picked up for myself. But again, it really does depend on the instrument quite a bit, because the clarinet was a lot softer. Definitely my favorites were the clarinet, the flute, and the bassoon. The Cor Anglais was also really, really good. The oboe was kind of my least favorite here, because towards the top end got a bit too pushy and aggressive and sort of maybe a bit glassy sounding to me. Again, with the color adjustment, you can move away more from that, which again gives incredible diversity and flexibility with these libraries. I know I've said this many times throughout this video, but in case you're just here for the summary, the color alone, the mic positions alone, and the instrument placement alone give you such tremendous control over the tone, color, the texture of these instruments, that these are among some of the most flexible orchestral sample libraries out there in terms of what it's capable of sounding. Because it's quite typical for a good sounding sample library to sound good in one way, because you have to kind of make it in one way with a specific vision and purpose, and then see that through and get that one great result. But Fracture Sounds seem to have found a few additional ways to kind of expand on that and enhance that. Part of it is due to their these are so kind of natural and clean sounding libraries that it's probably easier to tilt from that. And I say that in no way that it takes away things like soul or expressiveness or those kind of things. That's more of like the quality of the sonics of it. These are just sort of beautifully raw and open, but give that clean impression. But yeah, what I'm getting to is that they with the color control, with the mic positionings that are among some of the best, and the instrument placement thing, which changes texture a lot. With those, you can lean into all kinds of different directions. So even if you're like me and the oboe top end is not quite for you, I would pull back the color, test some of the mics, maybe place it in a different place with the custom positions, and it would be perfectly, not just perfectly fine, but maybe even perfect. What else? Biggest criticism here is most definitely the dynamics here, because to me it sounds dominantly like a level change here. And again, I don't know if that's what it is in terms of how it was done, but that's what it sounds like to me, and that's kind of the biggest issue here. So to me, like, a tremendous library has, when we're going through the dynamic range, it doesn't just change in volume, but it changes in texture and tone, and the softness and the expressiveness, the expression should change as well. And here I hear a bit of more like maybe like a 3-zone or maybe even like a 2-zone split in the change of texture. Like the lower half being like a less aggressive version, and then the top half having more like a bit more of a gritty edge. Not that it's a gritty sounding library, but has a bit more of that edge. So that makes me feel like a dimension here is missing a bit, because I'm not getting like a big scope of expression and emotion out of this dynamic range. It mostly sounds like a level change, and that will get you pretty far for sure. But it just means that I don't have like a wider emotional range to explore here, because I would want to go from like more like a singing big sound into like pulling back and into something like super soft and delicate. And this doesn't do that. It just kind of gets quieter. There's a bit of like a textural pullback, but nothing beyond that to me. So that would be my biggest criticism. And also it's pretty interesting that it does this because most of the other libraries by them don't. So that's a bit of a curiosity here. Also, the trills didn't work for me. So I don't know if there was an issue with my installation or version or something, but I couldn't get the trills to work. But that could be my fault. So before we pass the blame, entirely possible that I ballsed something up. But cool. I think that just about summarizes my thoughts on this. Really happy to have this in the arsenal because, like I said, I don't feel like I can have too many woodwinds. And like the flute is beautiful, the clarinet is beautiful, the bassoon is beautiful. So this is really, really solid, especially on the soloist front. And also I'm interested in, because I said that the woodwind libraries they seem to be easier to make overall compared to strings and brass. So interested in putting this, one-to-one against some of the other libraries that I have to see how it sort of compares, because the playability is so insanely good. And also I'm glad to have this as a soloist library because soloists, they can enhance the sound of an ensemble a lot. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of pushing things to the front or the back. But that is it for this video. If you have this at home or at your studio, let me know what you think about this library. And as always, certainly let me know what you think of this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.